There's a reason why Jesus used the term the Good Shepherd, I think. I get up early this morning, just about dawn, as I kind of do, and I went out on my deck, and everything was all frosted over, but we're in the middle of the second wave of lambing, and I heard this little and I heard the answering voice of the mother. I can do her voice too, but you're really good at impersonating sheep when you live on a sheep farm. But Mommy's illustration about recognizing the Good Shepherd's voice and the shepherd recognizing ours is the same as the mother sheep recognizing her baby's voice as well, and vice versa. So that's part of the message that we get from the gospel today. Jesus says to listen to him, the Good Shepherd. For in knowing him and in following him, we have an immediate connection to the divine. And that connection to the divine is for all of us to tap into. And that's exactly what John and Peter were doing. They had healed a lame man. But then look what happened to them. We find out in the lesson from Acts that there are those who do not, will not, and cannot believe in miracles. So let's back up a bit to shed a little light on why these things happened to Peter and John, why they were targeted. Earlier on the Sabbath, a lame man was healed. And the Jewish leaders did not sanction such a healing. And that was problematic. It was problematic enough that they brought in the temple big guns, the Sanhedrin, kind of like the criminal investigation squad of the church. They focused their efforts on the apostles, and specifically on James and Peter, on John and Peter. And only these two were the ones arrested and brought to trial the following day. At least they had a speedy trial. In the Gospel of Luke, we're told that the reason for the arrest of John and Peter was that they were teaching. They were teaching people, Luke tells us. They were teaching them in the temple. And they were teaching as their doctrine of the resurrection of the dead through the person of Jesus of Nazareth, the one whom they rejected and put to death. And teaching, in this instance, was considered franchised by the Pharisees, only given permission to those who they approved. Peter and John were arrested because they weren't accredited by them. And yet these two were teaching in the temple on the Pharisees' turf. They were teaching the people, the masses, 5,000 we hear. And so for the people to be taught by someone other than the Pharisees, and to be taught something different, was to lose control of the power over those masses, and that was a great threat to them. It looks like the religious leaders would not believe anyone else had a particular connection to the divine. That's true in those. It was true that day, and it's still true in some arenas today. But what the gospel and what the book of Acts are trying to point us to is that the power of God is at work in and through Jesus. The power of God is at work in believers, and it's at work in the world, performing miracles of powerful acts. You know, the sad thing about the Pharisees, and any who are attracted to power, is that they miss the fact that God acts in ways that we don't understand. God invested Jesus with power, and Jesus said we could do greater things when he gives us his power. But it's not the kind of power that controls. It's the kind of power that we can accomplish things. All we need to do is ask in Jesus' name. In my travels last summer, many of you know I was in Scotland for a good part of it, but I took 3 days and went down to the south of France. And I flew in very near the village of Lourdes, which is in the Pyrenees. Now, I considered going to Lourdes myself because that's where Our Lady of Lourdes Shrine is, and is purported to have healing properties. Well, I considered going until I saw the tour groups pouring off the planes. I think the only reason there's an airport in Tarbes and Lourdes is because of these tour groups going to the shrine. And I know that they were all going to this shrine where a miraculous series of visions began way back in 1858. It started on February 11th, and days following, at the nearby grotto of Massabille, 14-year-old Bernadette Soubirous allegedly saw the Virgin Mary 18 times. And 2 weeks later, in the grotto, a spring appeared, water pouring forth. It turns out, in my research, I found out that 8 million pilgrims visit this little village every year. That's a lot of people. And they say that the waters manifest remarkable healing powers, and that the Catholic Church has documented some 7,000 cases of unexplained cures at the shrine there. And they've declared dozens of them miracles. So here are some of the instances of healing. Back in the late 1800s, a boy had meningitis after a fever, and a fever, was blind and almost paralyzed. After bathing in the waters, he was healed. A woman had throat cancer. She was healed. A man who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis was healed. There have been many more who have been healed by bathing in the waters that appeared in the grotto. The Pharisees would be appalled. But the Holy Spirit will go where she will and works in mysterious ways. You know, these miracles happen in other places around the globe. And it doesn't just happen at shrines. It happens because the power of prayer and belief has healed people. You might shake your head and say, well, can we prove it? No. But I ask, can we disprove it? You know, there's a reason why we have a prayer list in our bulletin. There's a reason why we as a congregation are asked to pray for others, because there is power in prayer, and most of all, in our belief. When you know someone is lifting you in prayer, lifting you to God's healing light, there's a certain sort of relief you feel. You feel like the onus of trying to get better is not all on you. When you know someone's doing that heavy lifting for you because they believe, you begin to believe. You know, healing happens. It's true. Some of you are a testament to that. But healing also happens even if an illness doesn't go away or a person dies. Healing happens in other ways. There's healing for the worries of our minds. Sometimes there's an easing of our heart's emotional pain around an issue or around a person. Sometimes there's restoration or repair to a relationship, a resolution of our inner struggles. As Peter and John knew, the power of the Spirit doesn't work just because some high muckety-muck in the church hierarchy okays it. The Spirit comes to all of us who ask. It's as simple as that. And when I ask the question, can healing still happen? I believe it can. Because all we have to do is ask in Jesus' name. Miracles can happen.